Today what we're going to talk about is onboarding, because it's really important that you get people off to a good start, and here's why. Hey, aloha, Mark J, world's laziest networker, coming in from our backyard here in beautiful, sunny, and windy Kauai, Hawaii. By the way, thanks for all the comments about my sloppy writing. So, tried to write a few things ahead of time. Okay, and keep the comments coming. You know, that's what that box is for down below there. So. Here's something nobody will tell you. Number one is when somebody enrolls with you, here's what happens. They have, this is a mistake, I'm going to lose my money, my friends are going to laugh at me, I'm going to be humiliated, I'm going to get rich, make a lot of money, and be able to do all these wonderful things for my husband and my family. Who am I kidding? I've never done this before. This will never work. I couldn't sell any cookies for the Girl Scouts. This is going to be incredible. This is my chance to prove. And this nonsense is going to go back and forth. Fear and dream. Fear and dream. Here's what you need to know. One of them is going to win. And it's in the first 24 to 48 hours that their excitement and their fear is never higher. Let me say that again. In the first 48 hours, it is never higher. And you're the difference maker. And I'm going to show you today in less than 15 minutes how to make all the difference in the world, get people onboarded and get them producing within 24 to 48 hours. You get them a couple of successes and the dream begins to win. Because if we feed the dream, self-doubt starves to death. That's an important thing. I'm going to show you how to keep feeding the dream. So we've just enrolled somebody, and once they submitted their application, I'm going to say, listen, first thing I want you to know is we never get off the phone without scheduling the next goal advancing or income producing activity. And I'm going to ask you that at the end. It's a little quiz for you. And here's what happens. When you ask them at the end, if they get it wrong, you blame yourself. If they get it right, you say, hey, you're picking this up faster than most people. So you want to take total responsibility if they get it wrong. Give them 100% of the credit if they get it right. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? This is really simple stuff to do, everyday language. So I'm going to tell them I'm going to send them a link. And the reason I'm going to send them a link is I want to find out what color they are. You know, there's a lot of nifty stuff out there, but you're guessing. It's too important to guess. You need to absolutely know. My son, Derek, I had Derek pegged as a red. Derek had Derek pegged as a red, and we had some disagreements, and they got out of hand, like fathers and sons do. So I said, take color code. He took the color code. He came back as a white. Now he's been here visiting me in Kauai this week, and we've had 3 or 4 conversations that I know would have gone sideways, but because I know his color, he knows mine. We were able to work through it. He was able to give me some feedback about the way I talked to him. And I was able to make that correction because I know it's important to him. Now this brings us to the key word that you hear all over network marketing, and I want you to make a substitution. That word is relationships. If you get on Clubhouse or go on social media, they'll tell you this is all about relationship. It's relationship marketing. No, it's not. Okay? It's not. How a relationship evolves, that's a description of what happened. So whenever you hear the word relationship, I want you to substitute another word for it, and that word is communication. Okay? Because let me tell you something. I'm like you. I believe I'm a lot like you. I'd hear people say it was about relationships, and it's all about relationships, and I hear these successful people from stage, and I'd lean forward on the edge of my chair, and they said nothing about how to improve the relationship. So if you don't know how to improve relationships, welcome to my world. What I found out is the little hinge that turns the big door on relationships is communication. So whenever you're on Clubhouse or anything like that and you hear relationship, immediately shift your mind to communication. So I'm going to send them to lazynetworkercolorcode.com. There's a $50 charge there, or you can take the same test for free. Take it for free, okay? I just need their color, and I tell them that. So now what happens is I tell them I'm going to send them a link, and I do that on the phone. I say, do you have the link? And they say, yep. And I say, what I want you to think about before our first coaching session is how many hours you can give me a week regardless of the 3 T's. What are the 3 T's? Typhoid fever, tornadoes, or tsunamis. I need you to tell me, no matter what happens with your dog, your kid, the dentist, or anything else, that you're going to give me X amount of hours. And I let them determine the hours. They choose the hours. I choose what we do during those hours. Okay, so you got that part. That's pretty simple. And so that's the only thing I'm giving them to think about. As far as goals and what's your why, you know, I learned a long time ago, these long getting started things, they don't matter. Information about the product doesn't matter. What matters is what they shared with you in that dialogue, and you've gotten some of our skills already, I hope, at freenetworkskills.biz, so that you're having a conversation with them and finding out what their dream is. Not telling them what it should be, but finding out what it is, and that is all about what? Communication, and those skills will teach you how to do that, and they're free. So anyway, how many hours? I don't set goals with them. I don't ask them why they're doing the business. I already know why. They want to pay for their kids' education, or they want to get their husband off the road, or they want to get their wife home with the kids rather than daycare so she can be with them. So I'm going to show you how to have great relationships with people by better communication. So we're going to take this out, and on the first call, I'm going to set the goal for them. And my goal for them is really simple. Recover, start up money, cover, auto ship, okay, plus $100 for spouse, because the spouse has made a sacrifice. Do you understand that? The spouse has made a sacrifice. Let me tell you something about having great relationships. You learn how to talk to people, and we're going to cover that on the next lesson. I'm going to go over some tips for you with colors. We also have a course on that that we offer once a week, once a year. You'll love it. But anyway, basically, I'm communicating with them properly, and I'm going to tell you something. In 6 weeks, I always give them a 2-week head start period. So I say, we're going to give you a 2-week head start period. And then within a month after that, we're going to get your startup out of the business back in your checking account. We're going to cover your auto ship for the next month. And I'm going to get you an extra $100. And I want you to give that to your husband and tell him to go play golf. I want you to give that to your wife and tell her to go have a nice day at the spa. Say, listen, honey, I know that you're sacrificing some time with me, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to tell you something. You do this, and you learn how to talk to him, and the relationship will be just hunky-dory, okay? It's just the way it is. I'm going to tell you an easy way to have great relationships with people. Talk to them in a language that they understand based on their core motive. And again, we'll cover that in the next video. But talk to them in a language that they understand, get their money out of the business and get them in profit. The relationship will work out just fine. They're adding value to their life. So now I'm going to say to that person, so Hank, don't think about any goals. I'm going to set your first goal, learn your way around the campus, find out what's possible. Find out if the hours that you've committed to on a weekly basis are something that you can actually keep, or you can put in a little more or a little bit less. And Hank, what's the last thing we do before we get off the phone? And he says, schedule the next exactly. And I'm going to schedule that activity within 24 hours. Okay. And I'm going to add to that conversation his desire. We've taught you through these skills that people don't join for any reason except what's in it for them, and I want the big one. So we'll say Hank wants to pay for his kids' education. We'll say, so we'll meet tomorrow. Is this a convenient time for you tomorrow about the same time? about 7 o'clock your time. Does that work? And he's going to say, yeah. I said, great. We're going to meet tomorrow, have our first coaching session so we can get started on Jack and Jill's education. And you're going to pound that over and over and over again. And we already talked about it in another video, including the goals of the people on his team. Okay? So he gets it right and says, you know, schedule the next activity. Gets it wrong. Again, I'm repeating myself, but it's important to say, you know what, I didn't teach it to you well enough. The last thing we do, we never get off the phone without scheduling the next activity. When you build that culture into your team, guess what? Instead of people texting back and forth, they're on the phone together talking to prospects. So within 24 hours, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to build a list with him. Never, 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 never assign list building. Build the list with them, and then once we've built the list, and I know his color, right? I got his color because I sent him the link. He's going to tell me I got 10 hours a week to put in the business. I'm going to build the list with him, and I'm going to say, Hank, what's the last thing that we do before we get off the phone so we can pay for Jack and Jill's education? And he's going to say, schedule the next activity. Is tomorrow night the same time? Good, great. And I'm going to schedule that time with him, right, for his big dream. And because we work through this in a good orderly fashion, and we're talking to him in his color, in other words, in a language that he understands, the communication is superior. And because it is, and because you have a schedule for him and you're not putting pressures, what do you want 5 years from now? You know, the guy's trying to pay his rent. He just took a financial risk. And you tell him on that first call what your goals are for him. You repeat them. I want to recover your money, cover your auto ship, and get $100 for your spouse. Are you good with that? We'll worry about big goals later. Right now, we're going to focus on Jack and Jill. Are you okay with that? Of course, he's going to say yes. This is an onboarding system that will do one thing for you. Instead of having to sponsor 40 people to find one producer out of 40 people that you bring in for you and your teammates, you'll have 20% of them producing 8. And when you have that going on, you've now built a culture on your team with a simple onboarding thing. Okay, and by the way, in the 10 hours a week he tells me, I tell him one simple thing. No conference calls, no outside training, no nothing. You told me 10 hours, I own those 10 hours. Don't ever forget that, because he's going to get in there and get poisoned from people that are either trying to sell him something or they're hiding in plain sight. And neither one of those things are effective for Hank and his kids' education. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm already drawing you into Hank's story. It works like a charm. Peace be the journey. And we'll show you colors next time. Don't forget, comment, okay? Communicate with me, okay? Like this. And by the way, hit the bell. Oh, puberty voice. That was cool. Hit the bell. Peace out.